good evening and welcome to the York Festival of Ideas. My name is Joan Concannon and I'm director of the festival, and it's also my great privilege to be this evening's chair. So before we get started, just a few housekeeping technical remarks. If you're watching live, you can ask questions using the Q&A function at any point during the event, and do ask lots of questions because this is a fascinating topic. Should you have technical issues, including any loss of Wi-Fi, just come back in as soon as you can on the same link on your ticket. And also, please do remember that today's event is also being recorded, so do feel free to share the link. We'll send out the link when it's on YouTube, York Ideas channel, and do spread the word, and let's have lots more people coming along as well. If you need to use, or if you find distracting either way, if you want to look at subtitles or not, you just simply follow the CC transcript button at the bottom of your screen, and you can switch them on or off as you feel the need. And now to the main event. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Katie Sarvis to York Festival of Ideas. Katie is a beauty expert, a skincare expert. She is beauty editorial director of Harrods. She has the most fascinating career, and I'm going to ask her about this. Previously, she was beauty editor of ES magazine, Sunday Times Style and InStyle. She's contributed to Vogue China, Vogue Japan, London Fashion Week Daily. She's also co-founded The Beauty Conversation, a beauty-based collective, consultancy collective. Her book, The Beauty Brief, An Insider's Guide to Skincare, is just a fascinating, beautifully illustrated work. And it just so reflects Katie's a huge amount of experience and insights. And it's teeming with really practical knowledge. So to the point that Katie is occasionally going to share a slide, because I was so keen, if you haven't already seen the book, for you to see just how gorgeous this book is. So before we get on to the book, and so welcome to Katie, who's now on screen, and thank you for coming to the festival.
That was such a lovely build-up. Thank you very much. I loved the video, and then suddenly my name was up, and it was very exciting. Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you here. Now, I have to ask you, before we get on to this fascinating book, how on earth does one become the editorial beauty director of Harrods, one of the most iconic department stores in the world?
It's a cracking sounding job, isn't it?
It is really cracking. It sounds incredibly glamorous. Is it as glamorous as it sounds?
I mean, as always, with things that are always slightly less glamorous than they seem, but there are very glamorous moments, and especially sort of pre-pandemic, I've done a lot of travel and gone and seen beauty products and brands on the other side of the world, and trips to Japan to see Shiseido's factories and things like that. So there have been amazing elements to it, and there continue to be. I mean, Harrods is really a bit of a playground, especially for beauty. It's one of the biggest beauty departments in the world. So I see a lot of very exciting things and exciting products as well.
And how many people in your team, and what led you from, I guess, print journalism as well to something really quite different?
Yeah, very different. I mean, I think, well, firstly, I started as a makeup artist, actually. So I went to uni not so far from York. I was at Durham. And I did classics there, and I think I just felt, to hell with academics, I'd like to go paint, do something really creative. And so I became a makeup artist in London, and from there I jumped onto magazines as a beauty director. I was at Sunday Times Style, as you said, and then at ES magazine. And I think, I mean, a lot of people know the way that magazines are going at the moment. It's harder and harder to keep a magazine afloat. And so the next challenge came up, which was to create a kind of editorial style platform and world at one of the biggest and most famous department stores in the world. So I absolutely jumped at the chance. Yeah.
So one question I can't resist asking, what has been the most glamorous encounter or experience in that kind of panoply of experiences? And I'm very glad to know that I now know how to pronounce Shiseido, because I was in my mind pronouncing it Shiseido all these years.
I could have got it wrong, who knows. But my most glamorous, I get to make a lot of content these days with influencers who are kind of supporting the beauty brands that we stock. so recently I was on a yacht. I say recently, 18 months ago or so, but pre-pandemic, I was on a yacht with Tom Ford Beauty, photographing their beautiful bronzers, blushes, and perfumes on the side of a yacht looking out over the sea in the south of France. So that was one of my most glamorous. But I mean, to be honest, every day is fairly glamorous in that place. I mean, I don't know if anybody on this talk has been to Harrods recently, but it is very beautiful, and it's actually an incredibly refreshing place to be, having been locked at home for nearly a year, to see people out in heels and amazing designer outfits every day. It's lovely.
Well, I think Tom Ford will absolutely qualify in the glamorous stakes by any stretch of the imagination. So tell me, therefore, with all of that background in mind and that fascinating career, what led you to write this book at this time? Or what was the kind of the prompt or the kickoff point?
I mean, firstly, it was because everybody, I mean, I love skincare. I'm fascinated by it. I think maybe slightly more my degree and stuff. I'm very much into researching, and I really enjoyed it just as a project to write this book. But I think it was because every person I met said, what should I use? What should I put on my skin? What can make my skin better? How can I do this? And I'd say, well, you know, or they would say, like, which moisturizer should I choose? I said, well, have you checked the back of the label? Have you checked the bottle? Have you checked what's in it? And they would go, oh, no. And I kind of realized that people were just kind of almost sleepwalking their way through buying these products and still spending quite a lot of money on their products, especially kind of post-pandemic. There's been a real boom within skincare, and people are spending a lot more money and time and effort on their skin and their complexion than ever before. And so I really wanted to do it as a sort of answer to that, really. And the book is, not to go into too much of it now, but it's really a real mixture of like a glossary of different terms, ingredients, buzzwords. It's sort of alphabetical, but it's also, and these are some of the quotes from it, I actually spoke to this whole host of amazing experts that I've kind of got to know through my career, and have, you know, because a lot of this knowledge isn't my own, you know. In the book you'll find we've got Nicola Joss, who's an incredible A-list facialist. She does like Angelina Jolie's facials. She does this amazing thing called the inner mouth facial, where she massages the muscles on the inside of your mouth, and it's what gives all the Hollywood actresses their incredible kind of uplift on the catwalk. Beauty journalist, I've got a lovely quote there from Charlotte Tilbury, who gave me some really great quotes on sort of why skincare was so important to the incredible makeup that she does. And Charlotte was actually someone that I used to work with back when I was a makeup artist. I was her assistant on sort of shows and things like that, which was great fun. So really this is like one big book of advice, really. And I hope, and actually interestingly, a lot of people have used the word comprehensive about this book, because I think it really, it doesn't presume that you have any previous knowledge. And I've heard that people who are very advanced in skincare still understand it. They glean loads of really interesting things, but I'm not writing this book presuming you already have like a degree in biochemistry, or, you know.
Well, I was just going to come on to the next question, where quite frankly, I sometimes look at the back of bottles and I look at labels and I think I have no idea. And it does feel like actually to navigate your way through really expensive decisions, quite often you practically do need a degree in biochemistry to figure out what on earth's going on.
Absolutely. And there's so much a difference between what you get on the front of the label of a skincare ingredient bottle, which is everything to do with marketing and then wanting to sell you this incredible product. You know, they often use words like magic and potion and things like that, and then what you get on the back, which is the real science and can tell you a lot about what's actually inside your product.
That whole point about top tips on what you need to be looking out for when you're choosing skincare, is there a consistent thread, or is it very much individualized to different kinds of skin types? What are the kind of key things?
There are definitely some key points that you can start thinking about your skincare. And because beauty is, and I think actually just to speak to this slide quickly first, that beauty is not just skin deep. Skincare is not just skin deep. There are a lot of interesting political elements to the skincare industry that are worth listening to, and it also it's very boundary pushing. I find beauty, that's one of the reasons why I really love it. People assume it's very kind of like namby-pamby, but it affects so many kind of sociological issues. It affects everything from sustainability to race and inclusivity, and things like that. And yeah, so these, just before we move on, I just thought it would be interesting for everybody to see, you know, the global beauty industry's worth, which is enormous. This is a great stat. It's from 2018. It's the most up to date I could find, but about how it supports, you know, UK tax revenues by £7 billion. And then the next two stats are really about how the last 18 months and the pandemic have really kind of Google searches have absolutely exploded. People have really got into like looking after their skin, and I think it's a self-care thing, isn't it? We've all been under quite a lot of stress, and one of the first places that comes out on is our skin. But not only that, when we were in lockdown, we had a lot more time in our bathrooms, I guess, and sort of you know, saying, okay, well, maybe I'm going to get a grip on this and I'm going to look after myself a little bit better. I don't have to commute, so I might spend 10 more minutes in front of the mirror in the morning just making sure that I'm caring for my skin. Or maybe I never had time to do it before and now I'm slowing down a little bit.
I think there are two really interesting observations I always feel about anything to do with the so-called fripperies of being feminine, is this kind of slightly dismissive attitude to what you very rightly identify as a £7 billion industry.
I hate it. I mean, part of that was when and when, you know, when barber shops opened up before hairdressing salons, for example, you know, I think it's just sort of, it's seen as a bit of a frippery, exactly. And I've always found that very frustrating. You know, people will say, you know, suddenly look at me as if maybe I'm a little bit less intelligent, or just because I care about what goes on my skin.
But there is then exactly that idea that women somehow, the kind of the notion of looking after yourself is bound up with this notion of vanity, and the idea that women are looking to do this to please somebody else, as opposed to just the self-confidence.
Oh, and any women watching this talk will know it's just for themselves.
That idea. But I think perhaps there are two other observations perhaps from the last year. One, we're spending less money on a wider variety of things, and perhaps people then prioritize something that they've always wanted to spend a bit more on, but perhaps, you know, thought, well, I've got 17 other things that I should be spending my money on. But also, so many of us are looking at ourselves day after day after day on, you know, the virtual chain smoking Zoom meetings. I'm so bored with looking at myself that it's probably no wonder that people think, oh.
And we've certainly, like, when I spoke to plastic surgeons and dermatologists, like, whilst we were coming out of that first lockdown, a lot of the consultations they were doing, because they all converted into Zoom consultations over the pandemic, obviously, were migrating from kind of like areas around the eye and things like that. And a lot of people were asking about, like, what can I do? Like, I'm really worried about my jaw, because of course we sort of sit on Zoom and we see like right up here and it's very unflattering. And people are suddenly looking at themselves from a different angle and looking at themselves all day as well. So I think that became more of a problem area. But then, of course, in the pandemic, we've all been wearing masks.
Yes.
So people have really suffered, and I'm sure everybody listening knows someone or themselves who suffered with acne, whether they work for the NHS, whether they do anything that requires them to wear a mask all day, or whether they just wear it once or twice when they go to the shops. It has affected our skin, and the stress affected our skin, and the change of our routines affected our skin. So I think it was very hard to ignore your skin this last 18 months.
Fantastic. So going back to something that you said earlier, I love the line in the book. You're quite clear that if readers are looking for a simple miracle, they are reading the wrong book. But you do have some pretty easy to follow steps.
Yeah, I tried to be quite real. Yeah.
I was very intrigued by the concept of layering. I've been trying to practice this since I've read the book. So talk us through some of the tips and the techniques, and I guess in two folds. One of the kind of, what's the normal basic threshold we should all be aiming to aspire to, and then there's what are the additional things that people can think about if they really want a night out where they want to slay people in the aisles?
So basically, you can go as mad as you like with skincare. You could spend all of your money on it and have a sort of, especially there's been a real trend for K-beauty, which is South Korean skincare, and J-beauty. And in the Far East, a lot of beauty regimes traditionally are exactly about that, all about layering. And they do traditionally sort of 13 steps of skincare, which has been very trendy. But we're definitely seeing more of a kind of push towards like a more minimalist. We're calling it skinimalist. So I don't know if you guys can see if you've got your sort of Zoom bars at the top, but I've got the skinimalist regime and the skin enthusiast for anybody that wants to take notes or a screenshot or anything like this. And I've kind of, I mean, I think the most important thing to know is that your skin needs to do different things at different times of the day. And then there'll be all sorts of other things that vary the way that your skin functions, you know, your sleep, your environment, your commute, where you live, whether you live in an urban city or the countryside. But to really simplify it, your skin, when you wake up in the morning, it's very dehydrated. And this is because of something, a natural process called transepidermal water loss, which happens overnight. You just naturally lose water from your skin cells. And so the first thing, and as I say to everybody, the first thing to do in the morning is to rehydrate your skin, because that's going to make so much a difference to how you look for the rest of the day. It's going to make your products work better. It's going to make your makeup sit on better. If you're a guy, you're just going to look a little bit, and who doesn't wear makeup, you're going to look a little bit fresher. And so, yeah, I would say my minimalist regime is cleanse when you wake up, use a serum, and your serum is like your, I suppose it's like your power shake that you would have in the morning. So it's got all of what we call our active ingredients in it. And its purpose is to actively stop your skin from prematurely aging. So it might have antioxidants in it, for example, or it might have resurfacers, or it might have lipids. And then you would layer on a moisturizer. And then I would always obviously recommend, especially today, if you're in the UK, you've got lovely sunshine, I always recommend an SPF. I wouldn't recommend using a moisturizer then in the evening, the same moisturizer. Sorry, what I'm trying to say is I like to have a separate SPF to a moisturizer, so that I can then use that moisturizer again in the evening, but not necessarily with the SPF. And in the evening, I've put a double cleanse. Do you double cleanse, Joan?
I actually, funnily enough, I do, since I've been reading the book.
Good. So the point of a double cleanse is obviously to take off the day first. So a lot of the pollution, the makeup, the dirt, and then the second cleanse goes deeper. And I think a lot of people don't realize that doing a double cleanse is actually very good for you.
So let me ask you though, because I suspect I'm so not doing this properly, because I tend to use micellar water products for a first, get it all off.
That's very good.
And then, well, actually, I would be open a Lizarl wash, kind of soak in, because it just feels really nice. But I'm not sure. I'm always worried about mixing products and whether I'm supposed to do that or not. And no, I carry on doing it anyway.
It's very good to use a water-based one and then a cream or an oil-based second to really get the kind of dirt out in the second cleanse. So that is actually a very well done, top marks from me. No, micellar waters are amazing. They're very good at getting makeup off. And one thing I would say, and we'll go back to kind of sustainability later, if you're using a micellar water, really, really smart of you to start thinking about using reusable cotton pads with them. You can get such easy, they're amazing. You know, I've got a great one. It's oh my goodness, I'll post it on my Instagram after this, but it's from a brand that's a little pod, and you take them out and you use it and then chuck it in the washing machine and chuck it back in the pod when it's clean. So genius.
I've been using sponges lately, and just exactly as you say, just chucking them in the washing machine.
There's just little tweaks that you can do that are so easy. You know, I met a dentist the other day who told me that every tube of toothpaste that you've ever used in your life still exists.
Oh God.
I know, every tube of toothpaste. And this particular dentist has just started a brand called Parlour, and they have toothpaste tabs. I don't know if everybody uses them or has come across them. They're just like little mints almost. You pop them in your mouth and it foams up, and it completely eliminates the plastic. So think of how many tubes of toothpaste you've used in your life, and they're still in a landfill somewhere exactly as you bought them or finished them. Crazy.
That is really fascinating.
And terrifying.
Well, yeah, I dread to think. So let's go back to that sustainability argument, because one of the things that is I find so nice is how beautifully packaged things are. but also how incredibly draining on resources so much of the products are. And do you see a shift, even just from the packaging, with the beauty industry, that they're really starting to take seriously that sustainability agenda?
This is my kind of big list of things to start looking out for in beauty. But yeah, there is definitely a drive towards being more sustainable. A lot of the bigger brands, Unilever, Johnson & Johnson, are now investing a lot of money into making changes. But it's really hard because for brands, as with any category, it is cheaper, easier, faster to create a product that cuts, that says, oh, we're a bit sustainable, maybe slightly recycled packaging, but they don't go the full distance. So it's taking some real pioneers to properly change the industry and to properly make things different. But there's really good things that you can do, guys, at home, which are very easy consumer switches. Like if you're buying a shampoo or a body wash or body lotion that has a pump in it, like, don't buy them. Buy something that just squeezes out, and that's because the top of the pump has a little metal spring in it, and that cannot be recycled. And quite often you can't get that off the main bottles. The whole thing goes in, and then it can't be recycled. So there are really, really easy little switches that you can make. Like I use flannels or those reused.
Oh.
Glass packaging, which also goes quite nice and hand in hand with a lot of natural products are in glass as well, so they're nice products to use as well. But yeah, there's lots you can do at your level for sure. And I think trying not to buy that perfume that comes covered in cellophane is a lot easier now, because there are a lot of incredible brands that are making sort of, there's an amazing skincare brand called Spectacle, actually, that I met for the first time the other day, and they make their cartons from hemp boxes, and hemp is really, really great because a crop of hemp, a hemp bush grows in 3 months, whereas a tree that makes paper grows in a lot longer than that. So it also uses, hemp bushes use way less water. So these things are really readily available for you to find out on Google. So if next time you need a moisturizer, just spend 5 minutes, please, just checking that brand that you're buying is doing everything it can to be better for the planet. And I don't know, I really believe as well in, when a brand puts goodness into the start of their product, then you're going to get such a better result from it. I know that's a bit wishy-washy, but karma, isn't it?
I get that. So talk to me then about the last point here on this slide, and then we'll move on again. Use by dates and preservatives. I can't be the only woman on the planet who has stuff that's been hanging around, and you look at it and think, I haven't used that in a while. Should I?
Shall I put that mascara on that I've had for 5.5 years? And I think I say in the book, how much do you want an eye infection? And so use by dates are actually, and I wish I actually had a product here with me, but I've got hand cream here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so on the back of this is just a Nivea hand cream, and on the back of the bottle, every product by European law has a little pot on it, and on top of the little pot is a number and then the letter M. And so this says 12M, and this means that after it's been open for 12 months, you need to throw it away. And that's for quite a lot of good reasons, like the preservatives won't be active anymore, or the packaging means that bacteria could grow within the product, especially if you get if you have a moisturizer, say, that is a pot, so you stick your finger in it every day, you've got sort of lots of bacteria and all sorts of things on your fingers. So those use by dates and preservatives are kind of really there for a reason. There's some fun things on this list just to whiz through them. So naturals and synthetics. I think I say in the book, I read that in the Huffington Post, that the average woman exposes their skin to, I think it's 515 synthetic chemicals every day. And I think it is kind of impossible to tell someone to only ever use natural products, go live in a yurt, etc., and only, I don't know, the modern woman isn't going to be able to do that completely. But I think you can address that balance of how many of the chemicals you apply to your skin are natural and are synthetic. So that's something I try and look at. And this thing anti is quite interesting. There's a big trend in the beauty industry, good, I think, for banning words that are not positive to our mental health, or have actually made women feel worse about themselves or feel that they have problems. So anti-aging, for example.
Yes.
Actually aging's great, we all age, like many people are much better when they've aged,
and whether you want to or not, it's going to happen anyway.
It is going to, however much Botox you have, Joan, it's gonna happen.
The needle thing's never going to happen.
Oh my goodness, well, I can talk for a long time about that, but there's also, and it's things like Unilever have just announced that they've banned the word normal on all beauty products, which I think is so interesting. The idea that you're better if you use a product that says you have normal skin, and so therefore if you have, it's just a sort of, it's kind of quite right, but it has been a weird mind mess for some time, I think. Allure also banned the word, Allure banned anti-aging, and I think Unilever also banning poreless, because no human is poreless or could ever actually be poreless.
We talked about the kind of the baseline of stuff that we should be doing. The skin minimalist, skin enthusiast. Give us a quick rundown.
Yeah, so this is kind of more of what I do, for example. So if I were to talk you through my daily regime, I would wake up, I have a lovely, very hydrating mask that on my bedside table. I whack it on as soon as I wake up, take my alarm off. And when I'm like going to the living room, I put on, the kettle for a cup of tea, turn the lights on, open the window, and then I run the shower. And then when I get in the shower, I wash the mask off in the shower. It's actually just a really good tip for like getting that boost of hydration that I was talking about that your skin desperately needs when it's woken up.
You do that every day? Because I would have thought that was perhaps too much to do something like, because when you look at those,
depends what product you're using. I would probably do it. I wouldn't do it every day, but it's something I try and do on the reg, because I noticed that it makes quite a difference to my skin. And that mask, there's lots of different types of masks. This would be like a hydration mask. So the ingredients would be, the benefit would be moisturizing, sort of glow inducing, but there'd be nothing in there that you couldn't use every day that would be like exfoliating or stripping or an acid or anything like that. So then I do my 2 cleanses. I like an essence as well. I don't know if you've ever used an essence or a lotion that comes from kind of J Beauty and K Beauty, and it's a product that you layer over the skin, and it helps the following serum and moisturizer penetrate further into the skin, so it kind of optimizes your skincare. So if you're looking for a new step to add into your regime, that's quite a good one to do. And then I use a hydrating serum because it's the morning and I'm dehydrated. Then a moisturizer, an SPF, and I quite like a CC or a BB cream. I don't know if people are au fait with alphabet creams. There are a hell of a lot of them out there. But CCs and BBs are blemish balms and concealers, and they're about kind of just correcting slight imperfections in your skin. Sorry, imperfections probably another bad word that I should use. Any redness that you may have, or you might have sallowness, or you might have some broken veins or something like that. Because and in my book, there's quite a large section on the sort of category, which is almost makeup but not quite, and almost skincare but not quite. So sort of CC creams and illuminators and things like that. And I love those products because it means ultimately you wear less makeup, I think. And I quite like people to kind of see my skin as it is. And so the more I can do on the skincare side, I think the better.
Brill. So, of course, then there is this pursuit of perfection. So you have a fascinating chapter called At the Derm. Talk us through the bewildering array of treatments and terminology and that interesting intersection between invasive and non-invasive.
Yeah. Really interesting. And actually, there's some really nice quotes in the book from a great plastic surgeon who kind of actually tells you that really those words minimally invasive, non-invasive, and invasive, they aren't actually formally defined, but loosely what they mean is that non-invasive is that treatment that doesn't pierce the skin. So it could be an LED light treatment, it could be just a regular massage, and then minimally invasive is something that breaks the skin but doesn't really damage it. So like Botox, fillers, like neurotoxins, like microneedling. And then invasive is more like a facelift, so something that cuts through the skin. So I mean, I think I've got a long list of things that I could talk about here, and the section is actually quite big in the book. It's sort of about how to find a good dermatologist, because I really believe that everyone, you know, you've got a dentist, you've got a GP, get yourself a dermatologist, because you never know when you're going to have a skin crisis. And also it's just like, it's the largest organ in your body, so it's really good to make sure that you're checking in with it, that it's well maintained, that it's healthy and performing at its best. There's lots of ways that you can find them. BAPS, for example, has a very good, which is the British Association of Plastic Surgeons, has a very good find a specialist section if you want to get something more invasive like Botox or whatever.
And do you think, I'm always struck sometimes when I see very obvious, I think lip fillers in particular, is it that they're applied badly, or just there's just too much of it? When is something just too much?
Yeah.
Where you feel like somebody's entire their personality has been obscured by something very.
And I think lips are the hardest one to get right. You know, you always notice if someone's gone a bit wrong on their lips or gone a little bit too far. Not so much necessarily with Botox or little bits around your eyes, or a lot of people get sort of filler in their jawline, which you can often look at someone's face and be like, I'm not sure what they've done, but they get a bit of filler in their chin, say, and a bit in their jawline, and it gives them a beautiful little curve behind there, and it's very hard to notice it. But lips are quite prominent feature. You know, a lot of us look at people's lips when we talk to them, don't we? You know, you're quite directed at someone's mouth. It's just part of human engagement. But yes, that is often applied by someone not very well and applied a little bit too much. And I think that's the important thing. If you are going to get a treatment like this, which is going to physically remodel, affect, tweak, move your facial structure, and I'm not to say it's a bad decision, you know, some people have really great treatments, but really research, you know, look at that specialists, look at their Instagram, look at their patients. Are you happy with the way that all those people look? Ask to see before and afters as well, because you might just be seeing a gorgeous picture of a really beautiful girl and think that she looks amazing. You know, see the before and after, check that you're happy with the level of change that person has had. Yeah, I mean, I don't think these treatments are always done negatively. I have Botox, or did have Botox before the pandemic, really quite regularly, and I found it was really quite amazing, and I write about it in the book. I think it's a great treatment. But I think it's just always have a consultation. And then another trick that I have is, if you go to your consultation, check out the nurses and the receptionists and the staff that work in the clinic, because quite often they've got the treatments themselves free as guinea pigs. So you can kind of check the workouts, or like check out the quality of their skin or the lift or the radiance or whatever by just looking at them first.
Brilliant. Well, we're going to come on to some audience questions, but we had one last thing, and it reflects a number of questions. You won't be surprised. So we talked a little bit about the back of the bottle, but also you've got some great case studies at the back of the book. And needless to say, lots of people wanting recommendations, which is what prompted you to write the book in the first place. So, you know, tell us a little bit more, and if you've got kind of personal recommendations.
Yeah, so the back of the label is a bit more like the kind of B-side of a record, you know, it's the less kind of like well-known side, and it's the bit that people often miss, but it also contains the juiciest bits of information, and where you can really tell if that product is going to live up to the marketing claims on the front. So in the back of the book, I firstly started by doing this great a page. Sorry, I was going to say great page. I think it's great. It's so helpful. And these are all the symbols that you find on the back of your bottle. So you can see there the little open pot symbol with that means 3 months. Your product will go over in 3 months. But there's tons of other ones, and if you just take a bit of time to learn what they mean, they can tell you a lot. So for example, so this the arrows that go round, not the green ones, are all about whether the product can be recycled. And if there is a number, so if you've got that, you can recycle it. If there's a number inside those looping arrows, then that means the percentage of that packaging that is made from recycled materials. You've got the PETA bunnies, so they're administered by PETA, and they can tell you whether the product is tested on animals. That's a cruelty-free one. If it gets that stamp, there's no animal testing being done and no animals being harmed. Because I mean, you would be surprised how many beauty products are not vegetarian. You know, they are. They use an ingredient that comes from like a rooster's cockerel or something like, or like from glycerin or something like that. So then you've got a cruelty-free and vegan stamp from Peter too. You've got the little flame, for example, which means flammable. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to sort of alight on your skin, but it might be nail polish remover or hairspray or something like that. So keep it away from a naked flame. The green arrows mean that it means that an external, it's a European sign, because there's different ones in Europe and America. And the looping green arrows means that an external company will be in charge of recycling this product. There are lots of beauty brands that are coming out now with their own recycling schemes, a little bit like Nespresso. There's several brands where you can save the individual pods that things come in, or and then they have their own kind of TerraCycle scheme, or you can take them back into the shop that you bought them from and they will recycle them for you and often give you a discount on the new product. Lots of incentive. So then after that, I kind of let you put into practice what you've learned from the whole book. We've got these spreads. So this is Charlotte Tilbury's Magic Cream. I've got Glossier's Solution. They're all quite current, great cult products, really. And I actually break down every ingredient on the back of the list and tell you a little bit more about them, because the idea is that you do not, I mean, there's no human way you could know every single ingredient on the back of a skincare list. It's impossible. Loads of scientific nomenclature, loads of Latin. If you don't know Latin, or if you're a gardener, you're probably okay. But I kind of help you understand what some ingredients are, and even if you can just recognize one ingredient and whether it does something for your skin or whether it makes your skin flare up, you can make a more informed choice when you buy your next product, basically. So it's quite a fun section. I mean, obviously it's quite a lot to absorb all at once, but I do it with Glossier's Solution, Charlotte Tilbury's Magic Cream, the Lush Honey Lip Scrub, a BioEffect and Icelandic serum with EGF stem cells in. And yeah, so I think hopefully it's a good way to sort of test and learn what you've learned from the beginning of the book.
Well, we have got questions coming in thick and fast.
Woo!
So I think what we might do is I'm going to sprig on you, and then I'm going to fire up the questions when I get my... So very interesting questions about coronavirus and changing our buying habits. And somebody is essentially saying, I've given up lipstick because of wearing masks. And then I'll move that on. So that's kind of more of an observation than a question around the kind of the way that coronavirus has changed our buying habits. But then there's a very specific one that I think is very interesting. Shows like Glow Up push the boundaries of makeup, showing what an art form it can be, with more YouTubers and Instagram accounts creating masterpieces and giving tips on creating extreme makeup application. Is wearing makeup becoming something else beyond beauty?
Well, I think wearing makeup is certainly getting a new purpose and a new function, isn't it? We're clearly all going into quite a new phase of our lives. We are not going into offices every day. We are not rolling from our desks into the bars as much as we were. Some of us hopefully are getting to do that a little bit again. And I think time spent alone at home has certainly changed our relationships. A lot of people I know stopped wearing makeup altogether. And that's why the kind of skincare boom certainly happened. And certainly in the retail world, makeup has had a very challenging 18 months. You know, it has not performed that well across the board, color, whereas skincare really has. But I mean, Glow Up's a fantastic show. We had an episode of it filmed in Harrods a couple of seasons ago, actually, or last season, I think. And I think it's amazing that makeup artistry is being brought to the fore of the industry as something as creative, and makeup artists are being seen as real, like, you know, veritable artists, which they really are. And I also think there's definitely a sense of like real kind of people are using makeup as a form of expression a little bit more again, you know, they're having a bit more confidence and a little bit more fun with it. And I think the mask comment is funny because I met someone the other day who was actually a receptionist in a GP surgery, and she told me that she's actually been wearing more lipstick because she loves that she's a big beauty fan, and she loves that she can try on different shades under her mask, and if it doesn't look that nice, nobody knows because she's got her mask on. So I thought that was really, really good. But I mean, I would say you know, makeup is for you, you know, again, it goes back to like how you want to feel that day. And if you want to wear really amazing David Bowie rock star glitter eye, go for it.
I fully concur. So interestingly, we've talked predominantly about what goes on top of your skin and what soaks into your skin and how you can kind of manipulate it. But somebody's asked the very obvious question of what can we eat to improve our skincare?
Absolutely. Collagen is my answer to that one. You can get it in like sort of seaweed salads at kind of great sushi bars. Marine collagen is one of the best supplements. So I'm talking about supplements as well as food, actually. You can get collagen from food like seaweed, but supplementing it is a great way to get it. And collagen is essentially like, it's a bit of a buzzword, isn't it, in beauty? And I think lots of people don't really know what it is, but it is a building block, a building protein of our skin, and it holds everything together. And actually, I've had a lot of dermatologists say to me recently that you can do as much Botox and filler as you like, but if you're not supporting your existing network of collagen, which starts to deplete from your mid-20s, your face is just going to age faster, basically, and you're going to have all this work done on the surface of the skin, but the bricks and mortar underneath are collapsing. So you really need to support. So yeah, collagen levels dip naturally, and they take a really bad downward spiral after you're 25. So yeah, I know. So a lot of people are in there. There's a lot of talk on Instagram now about collagen banking. So from your late 20s and your early 30s of just actually ingesting, like getting your levels of collagen back up and banking as much as you can to kind of put you in better stead later. How much of that is really true, I'm not sure. But definitely supplementing collagen is a great idea. It's great. It does, when you take it, it does go everywhere around your body, and you have collagen in all of your organs. So it will also support the function of other parts of your body, but it is very good for your nails, your hair, and your skin. So that's one thing I would really recommend at the moment. And you can buy good levels of collagen from Whole Foods, Boots, Holland & Barrett. Yeah.
Cool. And then somebody asking a very sensible question. If you can only afford one type of good skincare product of that kind of list of the different, you know, the moisturizer, the serum, the cleanser, blah, 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 what's the one we should really be thinking about investing, as, you know, and also very much what would you recommend in the context of that list? From skin minimalist to skin enthusiast.
That's like asking me to pick my favorite child. That is but I can say, okay, I'll give you the sort of most educated answer I can, but if you don't cleanse, you really should, because especially if you live in a city, you're going to have a lot of kind of pollution build up in your skin. So cleansing, I think, and that can actually get into the kind of dermis and can start breaking down the structures of your skin. So you can prematurely age by not cleansing, and also you can get great cleansers that contain lovely hydrating, soothing ingredients that you might otherwise have in your serum or your moisturizer. That said, most people already have a cleanser, so the next thing I would say is a serum. I think that is where the stuff that makes stuff happen lives, in the serum. That's where your active ingredients are. And again, very important to look at the back of the label, check that there actually are active ingredients in there, and a quick Google will help you. There's a few things to know about that back of the bottle, back of the, like that inky list. It's called an inky list, the International Nomenclature of Cosmetic Ingredients. Thank you. And it's ordered by weight, by concentration of the ingredients. So you'll get whatever's most, the highest concentration in the product will be at the beginning. Anything under 1% does not have to be mentioned. Generally, colorants come at the end of the list. And you might have a very small inky list, like some of the ones I've put in the book are very short, and some have thousands and thousands of ingredients. Well, not quite, maybe tens and tens. But yeah, so learning a few great ingredients and really looking for them, like vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin C, and understanding what they are will really help you get a good serum that really works.
So very interesting on the cleansing front, because we're getting a bit of a challenge from the audience. Cleansing in the morning can be time consuming. Is it really necessary, or can you get away with putting on moisturizer and SPF and going? Only if you've not used an active the night before.
Very good question. And I often, as quite a lazy person, sometimes have thought that exactly myself. But the answer is, you know, especially on a hot night, you do sweat. You might be sleeping on a pillow that you haven't washed for a week or something like that, and you had a dirty face the night before. I would say cleansing is quite important. And also, you know, you don't need to use a very sort of astringent cleanser as well. Something that's got gentle ingredients. When you wake up and your skin is very dehydrated as well, it often might be a bit puffy, it's got a bit of redness. I would say that a good cleanser in the morning can do a lot of good things for you, even on a very minimal regime. And everything that you do is going to mean you need to wear less makeup, or your makeup lasts for longer in the day. And I think for me, that's worth it. It may not be worth it for you, but I like it. I also, you know, like, there is so much to be said for, and the Cow Group in Japan did an amazing study on how the mental effect of laying your own palms of your hands on your face for a couple of minutes a day. And they did all sorts of kind of brain scan studies, and they found that it really lit up in the areas of like pleasure, calm, positivity, and it really affected people mentally when they just gently massaged and applied products to their face every day. So I do think actually taking the time and saying, right, this is going to take me a couple of minutes, but I'm just going to, like, it's going to chill me out. I'm going to feel good. I'm going to feel good about myself. I'm going to feel confident. I feel fresh. Like, that for me is 2 minutes very well spent.
I think 2 minutes in the day. I'm not going to assume that this was a man or a woman who's asking the question, but you know, taking 2 minutes is not a big ask, perhaps. Natural moisturizers. Very interesting question about coconut oil, or those kind of natural moisturizers, and what you think about them.
Lovely way to cut down your synthetic chemical count is to use like a lovely, just to cleanse, for example. That's another thing that you can do, is cleanse with coconut oil. I actually, when I was pregnant, I used a scoop of coconut oil in the bath every day, because I wanted something that was really natural. When you're pregnant, you can't use essential oils. And I wanted something that smelled nice, and my skin came out lovely, and I didn't get any stretch marks either. So I'm actually very pro them. Jojoba oil is lovely. Natural oils, I think, are great. What you have to be careful of is if you have any natural oils, obviously have more of a propensity, things like, not jojoba necessarily, but things like essential oils have more of a propensity to give you irritation. So if you're worried about anything, just do a little patch test on your skin before you use it.
Well, you've segued beautifully, Casey, into the next question, which is from Helen, saying, most sunscreens include some mineral ones, making my eyes sting. How can I find a gentle one?
Yes, so there's a couple of different types of sunscreens. You've got physical and chemical. So you could switch between the two and see if one of them doesn't sting you. But yes, it's a really annoying thing about sunscreen, especially when you've covered your face and then you get in the water and suddenly you can't. But yes, I would try I mean, a lot of people prefer mineral sunscreens because they worry about the particle size in chemical sunscreens. Got a bit of bad press about how nanoparticles can penetrate your skin a bit deeper and linger around in your system. But do try a few different things. Also, different consistencies, like often lotions go in. If you use, like, for example, a really nice eye cream with SPF in it, for example, which will be formulated to not sting your eyes because it's an eye cream with SPF. You could always use that just around the orbital bone, and then use your regular facial SPF everywhere else.
Yes, I think that's quite a good idea. Now, are men increasingly using skincare products too?
Yes.
I
don't know about the men in your life, but all mine ask me for tips, literally. And I think there's no harm in that. And I think, I mean, men's skin is a little bit different. You know, for example, they often might have stubble, they've been shaving for all their lives. I actually did a really interesting campaign at Harrods with a non-binary person who was going through gender reassignment and they were starting to shave for the first time in their life at the age of, in their mid-30s. And they had used skincare all of their life as a woman. And now they were using it as a non-binary person who was shaving. And they said it was so fascinating because their skin was just being ripped raw by the razor. And so they really had to adjust their skincare regime to really counteract that kind of aggressive act of shaving that they'd never done before in their life.
In terms of SPF, is mineral or chemical better? And do you go into this in your book?
I do. I can tell you exactly what page it's on as well. There's a really nice section called On the Go, which is kind of all about the fact that skincare doesn't always sit in your bathroom. It's actually, there's a lot of products that are really good to have out and about with you, either on holiday or when you're traveling or on your commute. Skincare is a 24-hour thing. So I do have a really good section on that, about 127, I think, or maybe the one before. And I do go into, there's a lot to say on it, and I won't say it now, but I do go into quite a lot of detail on it. So definitely have a read of that. I don't think there's an answer that one's bad and one's good. Both are 100% legal. And a load of scientists have deemed that they are safe to use and produce. So it's really up to personal preference. I think also a lot of it depends on your skin tone and the color of your skin as well. Different things work for different people. And also a lot of the kind of mineral ones often tend to have quite a thick white veil, which is obviously completely useless if you have a darker skin tone. So yeah, it's a lot to do with preference, and a lot of people are worried, as I said earlier, about the nanoparticles in chemical sunscreen. But some people get reactions to mineral sunscreen. Some people will use mineral sunscreen because they like it in a powder, but then they miss spots in their face, and then they get, sunburnt anyway, and ultimately getting sunburned and sun damage, and perhaps, that leading to skin cancer is probably much worse than the chemicals you might put on from chemical sunscreen.
Now, this is a question very close to my heart that somebody has asked, a very specific question. Do you have any advice on how to treat rosacea?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a nightmare thing. It's something I've never suffered from. But Joan, did you say that you have it?
Yeah, just in the last couple of years, you hit a certain age and your hormones start to kind of get interesting.
Yeah,
and I'm still searching and trying and fiddling.
What have you tried so far, Joan?
What haven't I tried? Dr. Hauschka. I'm currently on Charlotte Tilbury. I've lost track of the level of stuff. Avene, stuff in boots. And almost sometimes you use it for a while and then you almost become immune to it and you have to kind of cycle through the next thing.
That's so interesting. That definitely Avene and those brands which are non-comedogenic, fragrance-free, colorant-free, are really good. So La Roche-Posay does a very good anti-redness sort of concentrate. But my best thing to say for that is get yourself a really good dermatologist, and go and spend the time on getting some proper treatments on it, and some proper advice, I would say, because rosacea, as you say, is something that you can't often just cure with a product, because it does flare up, and it often flares up when you're a little bit more exhausted or more stressed, or your hormones are going wild or whatever. So I would say a dermatologist is absolutely the key to that. But yeah, but there's also some really, really interesting brands started by people with rosacea. I don't know if you've found It Cosmetics.
No, I haven't.
She's an American brand. They got bought by L'Oreal, actually, so they're quite big now. But she was a TV presenter, broadcaster in the States, with just chronic rosacea, really, really bad. And I once met her at a press demo in London, and I love that, Jamie, you're writing that down.
I am literally writing it down.
And she, really chronic rosacea. And I met her in London. She had a perfectly immaculate complexion, and she said, I'm going to show you something, guys. And she got a cleanser and a cotton pad, and she took off half of her face of makeup, and it was puce red. really chronic rosacea, and the other was perfect. And she basically got fed up of like no makeup and no having kind of skincare benefits in it that would treat this rosacea, and nothing that would really stay on that wasn't horrible thick makeup. So she created this line, which is really, I think, brilliant. Their concealer is absolutely excellent, and they've got all sorts of skincare ingredients that sort of really work on calming and muting that redness and stopping a lot of that irritation and stuff. So definitely worth checking out It Cosmetics.
Well, I don't know about the person in the audience who asked that question, but I'm certainly going to be checking that out. Now, we're nearly out of time, but I am myself intrigued, and I'm going to make this the final question. What's the difference between AHAs and BHAs, and how do I know which to use and for what?
Yes, and there's also PHAs and all sorts of other HAs. But HAs are essentially hydroxy acids, and they all work in slightly different ways. Again, I've got a really big section on all of them in my book. What they do is they work in different ways to increase the cell turnover, so to speed up the life cycle of the cell. Therefore, when the cell dies, it goes up to the top of skin and then goes away, and you get new skin that comes out underneath and fresh skin cells, and that basically it speeds up that process, those AHAs and BHAs. They will, depending on your skin type, you might work better with some than others. PHAs are really brilliant if you've got very sensitive skin, because PHAs are larger molecules, so they're still very effective at speeding up the turnover of your skin, but they actually it doesn't irritate your skin as much because the molecule is larger and it doesn't penetrate in and very far. So they are a bit of a wonder trend ingredient at the moment, and a lot of people who found that AHAs and BHAs are a bit much for them are enjoying PHAs. I hope that answers the question.
I think that's great, and actually I am going to squish one more question in
Good.
just because I can. Should we be using different skin products when we're young versus when we're older? Is there a common thread that you always think about, or do you really need to graduate to more sophisticated or more complex skincare products as some of us get older?
I do think there are, but I think it's not as simple as just aging, because people age, all people's skin is different, and you age at different rates, and you might be genetically very lucky and age very late or whatever, or be more prone to things that don't make you look as old, but while your skin is aging, like hyperpigmentation as opposed to fine lines and wrinkles. But I would say the main things are that after 25, this collagen level does drop off, and you want to be supporting that. You also as you get older, you lose your sort of skin barrier weakens, and you lose a lot of moisture. So you're looking at, as you get older, you're looking at increasing your collagen levels and increasing your moisture levels. But the other big thing, which is I think very important, people don't look at, is your hormones, as you were saying earlier. The shifts that you're going through. You obviously are going to have a period of your life where you hit the menopause and a lot of stuff's going on in your skin, and you will need to, I think, take a look at what you're applying to your skin and just give it some tweaks and shake it up. Ditto pregnancy as well, or when you're a teenager, and everything's starting to happen, so that really affects your skin. So I would encourage people to look at it less as an age thing and more as a what's going on in your life thing. And if you're having a big shift, then that's the time to kind of make a few changes, add a few things, and say, okay, what's my skin doing now?
Well, I think that's a really great place to end. Katie, I can't thank you enough. That was absolutely fascinating.
I loved it. I hope everyone found it interesting.
I could have talked to you all night. In the interest,
you know where I am, Jen.
So thank you so much, and thank you to the audience for tuning
everyone.
in on such a sunny evening. It will be on our YouTube channel, so do tell lots of your friends. And for goodness sakes, if you haven't bought the book already, do buy the book from the fabulous independent bookseller, Fox Lane Books. Naomi's just posted all the details. And thank you again, everybody, for coming along to the York Festival of Ideas. We like to educate, entertain, and inspire, and I think we got that in absolute spades from Katie this evening. So thank you all very, very much, and have a lovely rest of the evening, and see you again at the York Festival of Ideas. And Katie, we need to get you to York as soon as this nonsense is over. We'll get you up for a proper session. But thank you so much again. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.